ball, bear hugs, chamois, and a final roebuck for Kai's Croatian cook-up. Confessions of a hunt saboteur. I speak to a proper animal rights terrorist, Tiernan, about destroying pheasant pens and other criminal damage. We reveal the winner of the Remington rifle package we launched as part of our 500th show, plus the winner of the Red Kettle Ventile Organic Cotton Jacket, and the winner of the catapult. 3 winners! Plus optical illumination. Zeiss shows off the versatility of its range on a multi-discipline shooting day. We've got money off tickets to the game fair, which is coming up at the end of July. We've got news. We've got hunting YouTube. Welcome to Fieldsports Britain. Kai is in Croatia for a long overdue trip with fellow hunter and dedicated meat eater Tomo Svetic. With a Croatian wild boar and roebuck in the bag, we're nearly ready for our meat feast. This is when the hard work starts. It's a morning of butchery. The vet has given the boar the all clear, so Kai and Igor get stuck in. Late afternoon, we're heading up into the high ground again to see if we can find another roe. It's different terrain to the flat pastures of the valley bottom.
So this is our 3rd day in Croatia. The first 2 days the weather been really poor, but been quite productive. It's really nice to see now the mist has gone, the actual beautiful scenery around, surrounded by mountains and meadows. So the time is now probably approaching about 7 o'clock, so we've got a few hours. Nice little walk ahead of us. And let's see if we get anything.
Glassing from a ridge, we spot roe out browsing. Then Tomo clocks a European brown bear lumbering across the valley bottom.
Look at him. Do you think that's a boar?
That is a male. Big one, and you can see this one going across that
into that woodland.
Yeah, exactly. But he was sleeping somewhere here.
He just come down.
Yeah, exactly. Because we didn't see him in the bridges on this. So he was.
We were going to go down there.
Yeah, exactly. This is your path. Anyway, you will go there. Just
Sure.
be careful, yeah.
He's going up now that way.
That's what you're hoping. But listen. Yeah, the wind is in your favour. So
we've got David to protect us anyway, so that's fine.
He has huge flash.
What's that mean?
I mean, when you flash with camera.
Oh,
yeah, exactly. So the bear will stay alive and you will stay safe.
Yeah.
Yeah. But when we go to sleep, or to stay overnight, just for observing purposes and so on, then you can hear them sometimes fighting.
Well, the bear's fighting.
Yeah, that is not pleasant. No, not at all. That noise is just unbelievable. Even when if you are in dominant position and far away from them, the whole valley sounds like, I don't know, it's really difficult to explain that. Look at him, I mean, this is beautiful.
It's amazing.
Amazing.
With the wind in our favour, we decide to try and intercept the bear, as it appears to be heading up and over the ridge we're on.
Roe deer. So he does hear a roe deer bark where the bear went in. So obviously it feels threatened and it just barked. That's really cool. So there's a roe deer in there somewhere.
Half an hour later and we are 130 metres from it.
There he is. He's behind that tree. We just saw him go about his way. It's amazing. So close, wasn't he? It's been an absolutely beautiful evening. Amazing.
After that close encounter, we continue down an old track, now tourist trail, that used to connect this area to the coast. You wonder how many trekkers realise just how deep they are into bare country.
We've seen one of those. We've seen one of those. We haven't seen a wolf. We haven't seen the chamois yet. We definitely saw one of those about 10 minutes ago.
Not surprisingly, the roe have evaporated for the day, and as night falls, we head to the supermarket for extra ingredients.
Well, I want to use, like, obviously paprika and things like that, some really nice spices. I'm a big fan of paprika. Regarding veggie stuff, I've got like cabbages and stuff like that, all traditional stuff. So, yeah, it's going to be quite interesting, quite creative, which is what I like.
Now, it's probably never been scientifically researched, but this is a prime example of why men don't shop in groups.
So this is the new Blazer range.
They always get distracted and arse about.
Because when you're wild boar stalking and that sun, evening sun gets in your eyes, all you have to do is...
That is for Croatian safari, actually.
Yeah. Oh!
You're good, Daddy.
We're nearly set for tomorrow's gathering, but we still need another roebuck. So this morning we head higher into the mountains. It's a good lung-pumping climb, and Kai's feeling it. His chest infection is taking the edge off his mountain goat agility. Speaking of which, here's another Croatian species to cross off the list. Chamois. Good spot.
Hard work, but it's really good. I mean, I've been in Scotland and other places, but when someone takes you up about a million miles an hour, it's good for you. It's good for you, though. I think we're going to sit here for a little while now and just glass the hillsides and the mountains and just to see if we've got any movement and see if we can work down onto anything and have a rest.
As we settle down for food, Tomo sees more movement, this time about 500 metres away. Two young bears are on the move with a much larger bear heading towards them. Their mother must be in season, as the larger bear is clearly a male with one thing on his mind.
That's 2 days now that we have seen bears, yesterday evening and today at 12:30 in the afternoon. And we've just seen 4 bears in front of us. First of all, we spotted the 2 cubs.
Yeah.
And then we see the mama bear, which was the golden sow, as I'm calling her.
Yeah.
And then the big boar came and pushed those 2 cubs away.
Yeah.
And that's just incredible. Like, nature at its best.
Exactly.
Isn't it?
Exactly that. I mean, some people they would spend a month here without seeing them, but we know what to look for.
Yeah.
Where to go, obviously. Nothing is guaranteed, especially this, to see bears in the afternoon walking around, making love.
Making love in the after. There's a song there somewhere, isn't there?
Yeah, I think so. I heard one. David, do you know one?
This is the cue where David puts it on in the edits.
Yeah. No, he won't.
We sit and watch the show for another 20 minutes before we sense a change in the weather.
So our bear viewing session has come to an end because we can see there on the left, you can see that rain coming in across the valley. So we haven't got long really before we're going to get absolutely drenched. Even though it's been like blistering sunshine, plus 20 degrees. And so we're going to have to go back the way we came really. We were planning on going down and trying to see if we can stalk into some roebuck, but the weather says no and we need to head back. So we're now in a bit of a rush.
We have one outing left before this evening's food and our flight home, so Kai sets about preparing the wild boar.
So we're just building up our charcoal now. Just put the logs on there and you can see already on the side I've got this butternut squash It's going to be cooking for about 4 hours. I'm just going to keep rotating it in the ashes. And what this does, it kind of steams inside and really softens up. The outside of the skin caramelizes and gets really sweet, so you can actually eat the outside of the skin. So all we do is just chop it up, cover it in salted butter, and it's a really, really good accompaniment to these kind of dishes. So in front of me, I've got the meat from the animals that we harvested the other day. I've got the wild boar shoulder here and the chops, and also with the wild boar shoulder, we've got the shanks from the roe deer, the roebuck that we shot. So this is from the front and back legs. I'm gonna go really, really nice, slowly cooked with this shoulder with red wine, oil, herbs, and stock with some shallots and onions. Absolutely delicious. So the chops, we're going to be putting a rub on there. I've got a rub here with some sugar, salt, pepper, nutmeg, paprika, herbs, and garlic powder. And we're going to put that rub on it, and then we're going to finish off with some pineapple juice to give it that extra sweetness and let that soak into the meat for a few hours before we chuck it out on the grill. So the meat's been tested for trichinella and other diseases, and it's all come clear, so we're all good to go. So we're going to cook them until they're pink in the middle, and they'll be really, really nice and juicy. So the first thing we're going to do is get this bottom of the bell out, this Croatian bell. We're going to put the roe shanks. We're just going to chuck everything in. It's really, really simple. These have been marinating. You can see it's really purple. They've been marinating overnight in red wine, oil, Worcestershire sauce, shallots and garlic in there. Pop the shoulder in the middle. Spread them around. And we're just going to pop this juice all over it. This is going to basically braise, and we're going to turn the meat over after about an hour. It's going to take about 3 hours, so we'll just completely turn it over every hour. And then I've got some beef stock here. However, you can use obviously venison stock.
Have you used the bull oven before?
I used this the other day for the very first time, and I did some ribs for Tomo and the rest of the guys, and it went down really, really well. It's a great way to cook. It's basically an oven. So you're going to make your fire, build your charcoal, and once the bricks have got really hot, you just push charcoal away, put the bottom of this bell oven in, put the bell on top, and it's got a little ring that goes, you'll see in a minute, and you just cover the top with charcoal, cover it around in charcoal, and it basically cooks it from the top, the bottom, from the residual heat on the bricks and on the sides, and it's a fantastic way of cooking. So for braising low and slow like we're doing now, it's absolutely ideal for fire cooking. Okay, so now we've got a wild boar loin chops, slightly a bit uneven. I mean, we did butcher it outside yesterday, so they are double chops. And what we're going to do with these is put this rub on there that I spoke about earlier on. I'm just going to cover them all. It's really nice, kind of zingy paprika-like, kind of sweet and savoury. And I put some of those herbs in there as well, some of those local herbs. And this is going to be really tender because, you know, these are the loins. And the most important thing we're going to be doing with these is make sure we don't overcook them. So I'm just going to lay them in. So once we've put the chops on the grill, you're going to be left with this pineapple juice. It's got the seasoning with the paprika and everything else. It's going to be really, really nice. And then we'll just pour that over the chops while they're cooking and just keep it extra moist. It's going to be absolutely amazing.
With just a few hours to kill, we head back out to the low pastures.
I love lowland roast cooking. It's just nice and gentle. And like this evening, it's a beautiful evening. There's no wind. It's just a pleasure to be out. It's really, really nice. If we don't see anything, we don't see anything. But it's just a really nice area to come and stop.
The weather starts off kind, but then the heavens open. We are underdressed, but thankfully not too far away from home.
You got it. Last chance saloon. Perfect. What a stalk. Good.
given up then. Well, I'd given up.
You were getting grumpy, David.
I was. It's peeing down. My camera's wet. I'm wet.
You were getting grumpy. And we were just walking back quite fast. We saw a roebuck up there and he was very, very spooky. And I've not really seen roebuck like that before. We just come around the corner and we see this young roe just grazing away. I just saw the back end of it come back off the path, and we see it had a small set of antlers, and I think it was ideal. That's what Tomo said. We didn't want a fully mature buck in its prime, so we selected the one that we got, and that was the right one at the end. So thank you, Igor, again. You've been a fantastic guide.
Bravo, Hunter.
Time's getting on now. We've got some food in the oven from roebuck and boar that we shot earlier in the week. I've got Tomo looking after that for me, so I just hope that he's doing a really good job.
After a satisfying, fun-filled 5 days, we complete it with lots of game meat and friends. It really doesn't get any better.
We've got the wild boar double chop, the braised roe deer shank. We've got a cabbage and lemon juice, salt, oil, peppers, butternut squash done in the ashes, the potatoes. We've got the absolute full works. Everybody happy?
Oh yeah!
So I think that's enough said. So leave us in peace, because I've got a lot of eating to do, and you as well, David. So good night.
For more information about the Blaser rifles, the optics and the clothing, go to blasersporting.com or blaser.de. Croatia offering up quite a wildlife safari there. Thanks very much to Tomo Svetic and Artemis Hunting for fixing it all up. And well done, David, for filming it. And now to David, or Goldilocks as we now call him, on the Fieldsports channel, News Stump.
This is Fieldsports Channel News. The Fieldsports Channel petition to keep the British shooting show at the NEC in Birmingham is gaining momentum. It has more than 5,000 signatures after a week. Visit bit.ly/NEC Trophy for more. The anti-hunting version hit 35,000 signatures when the venue for the British shooting show demanded the organisers drop hunting outfitters from the list of standholders. Our petition doesn't have to match that, just get the British shooting show organisers back in the room with the NEC. Meanwhile, other antis are calling for the whole show to be banned, and even for the NEC to ban the Crufts dog show. Feeling against hunting and shooting has been running at fever pitch this week, with antis, broadcasters and politicians feeding it with a series of allegations. Jonathan Vernon-Smith from BBC Three Counties Radio tried out the idea of shooting hunters when he interviewed Charlie.
There may, of course, be some people listening to this programme who would rather see hunters going and hunting the poachers rather than the animals.
No, that's appalling. That's shooting human beings. That is really, really appalling. There was a lady in America who started offering that as a thing, and they very quickly sat on her, and quite rightly too.
Oh. So it's unacceptable to shoot human beings, but it's
right.
But it's perfectly acceptable to shoot animals.
Yes, that is a central tenet of being a human being. I think you'll find.
Ah, I see. So that would be cruel, but killing an animal like a lion is not.
No, killing a human being would be murder, and killing an animal like a lion is okay when it's regulated hunting, and the money you're paying for that, the very large sums of money you're paying for that, is going into the conservation of wildlife.
But caller Jan in Dunstable is in favour of murder.
I would have taken up that lady's offer of going to shoot the poachers and the hunters as well. I'd be quite happy to do that, because there is no difference between killing an animal and killing a human being. It's still murder, and that's all there is to it.
To bring reason back to the debate, here are some other big fibs. After the RSPB found a dead hen harrier in North Yorkshire with lead shot in it, anyone on moorland with a shotgun became a criminal. The RSPB released a film of a man walking with a shotgun on moorland and claimed he was out to shoot hen harriers because there were hen harriers nesting locally. Chris Packham released an appalling story of a hen harrier found alive in a leg hold trap in South Lanarkshire, which was later put down. However, many people point out that the bird Packham holds up in his film looks different to the bird in his story, even though he says they're the same. They believe Packham used a second dead hen harrier to help capitalise on anti-gamekeeping feeling. While Packham has been busy monstering gamekeepers, less prominent is the good work gamekeepers do. It's success for a second year in a row for hen harriers breeding on Yorkshire grouse moors. 8 chicks were born and fledged on 2 moors, including 3 chicks raised on the Yorkshire Dales National Park. Unfortunately, the RSPB pulled out of this project as they pulled out of the Peak District Raptor Group, which this year reports successful breeding of golden eagles, merlins and hen harriers, as well as curlews and lapwings. Packham's Wild Justice Group has launched another legal challenge against the general licences on their grounds of making the government stick to their own rules. However, this is an attack on gamekeeping, not the government. They want to make it illegal to shoot crows in order to protect pheasants and to ban larcen traps. Back in June, DEFRA reinstated most of the general licences after a call for evidence supplied by individuals, by us and by organisations including Basque. It is now using that evidence to conduct a full-scale review of the general licences. The DEFRA agency, which used to administer the general licences, English Nature, has called on DEFRA to ignore all evidence from pest controllers and gamekeepers on the basis it's anecdotal, not scientific. DEFRA's own agenda is dominated by trophy hunting. A photograph on social media of a Canadian couple kissing over the carcass of a lion one of them had shot in South Africa led to calls from Antis for trophy imports to be banned. Antis were less able to cope with this picture of US TV presenter Ivan Carter and his family. In an article in the Mail on Sunday, DEFRA Secretary Michael Gove appeared to join the environmental socialism movement. He called for an end to shooting sentient animals, which is arguably all of them. He described African big game hunting as only justifiable if it's pest control. He failed to mention that tourism hunting pays for most large wildlife around the world, including the 20,000 stag heads handed to grateful deer stalkers in Scotland each autumn. Even falconry is under attack in the UK by Antis. An organisation called Freedom for Animals is campaigning against falconers tethering birds of prey, which means you won't see them at country shows in the summer. African swine fever has reached the UK. The Farmers Weekly magazine reports that traces of African swine fever have been found in meat products seized at airports in Northern Ireland, possibly from meat from China, where the disease is rampant. There's trouble for the National Rifle Association. In its 150th anniversary year, it faces an investigation by the Charities Commission and has come under attack from some of its own tenants at Bisley in Surrey, which say it's trying to run them off the site. The story flared over the NRA's attempt to boot out the family that run Bisley Shooting Ground, now the subject of legal action. A Sinn Féin MEP is trying to change new proposed EU gun laws. After going to the 5th ICTSF World English Sporting Championship hosted by the Irish Clay Target Shooting Association, Matt Carthy MEP says the legislation would force Irish farmers, hunters and gun owners to pay millions of euros to replace their shotguns. He said it was disappointing that the government had failed thus far to engage in talks with gun owners about the proposals, which would ban lead shot, rendering most shotguns useless. 2 British holidaymakers nearly died when their boat sank in shark-infested waters when they were big game fishing. Ash Paisley and Mark Lane were marlin fishing off Kenya when their boat sank. They spent 2 hours trying to stay afloat in 12-foot waves, along with their 5 Kenyan crew who couldn't swim. They were rescued after a passing oil tanker picked up their distress signal. A software company from China is planning to release an app which will recognise your dog by its nose print. Similar to a human thumbprint, the app called Megvii will allow you to photograph your dog's nose and log it with them. The company currently supplies facial recognition software for the Chinese government's surveillance program. And finally, local people in Dundee have called for a gull cull after the birds were seen taking ducklings. Visitors to the Stobbsmuir Ponds say there were so many gulls, it was like a Alfred Hitchcock movie. You are now up to date with Fieldsports Channel News. Stalking the stories, fishing for facts.
Thank you, David. And there's more news on our website. fchannel/news is a fast way to get to that. Now, last week we spoke to bird rights campaigner Mark Avery, who likes to work the system to achieve his aims. Well, this week, a man who likes to inflict financial pain. It's militant vegan Jay Tiernan. I'm about to meet, well, if you're a vegan, he's a hero. But if you are on our side of the argument, he is a horror of the animal rights movement. And we're using football in no man's land rules here. We're suspending hostilities I am going to let him say what he wants to say so that you can hear it. I'm not going to jump down his throat every time he says something offensive. That's the rules we've come up with. Maybe, who knows, I doubt it, we could find some consensus. He is the press officer for the Animal Liberation Front. He is the face of the Stop the Badger Cull movement. He's Tiernan. What about criminal damage though? So cage stamping.
No problem with cage. So I've done quite a few cages in my time,
right?
So I haven't got any problem with that, and I haven't got any problem admitting to it.
There were issues up on Exmoor. There was a farmer who claimed somebody had emptied his diesel tank into a swimming pool.
That isn't good, is it? I don't think emptying diesel into anything is good.
No.
And I also heard of a farmer who had human faeces put into a swimming pool, which, whilst isn't much fun, isn't doing any real damage to anything. You know, I think putting diesel out.
Not so good. Okay.
No, it's not, is it? It's poisoning an ecosystem potentially.
Yeah. So you're against that on environmental grounds.
Yeah.
But supposing it was, I don't know, supposing you had a tanker full of blackcurrant juice or something, you put that in.
If it was cow slurry,
that would be fine.
Well, that'd be funny.
Okay, it'd be funny. All right. So there are these. I mean, that would be quite a sort of, you're in the kind of 5 figures area of solving that problem if you're that farmer. 5 figures in pounds, so that's quite a lot of criminal damage. A cage is about, what is it?
100 quid, 80 quid.
Okay,
yeah.
So 2 figures for stamping on that.
But it might be 2 figures to stamping on it. But from a criminal point of view, if you do multiple ones, or if you were, you could be arrested for conspiring to commit criminal damage. And if you go over a certain level, it's many years in prison. So it's not to be taken too lightly. You do have to safeguard yourself. You do have to take some counter security, measures. If you were going to go, if I found a stash of 100 cages just there, and I was thinking, right, I'm going to smash all these 100 cages. That's £10,000 worth of criminal damage. That puts me potentially, if I got caught, into an arena where I go to prison for many years. I would not be chatting about it down the pub.
No.
I wouldn't be bringing my mobile phone here. I probably wouldn't be driving past a house that's got CCTV.
No, sure.
Yeah. And I certainly
you're on YouTube, don't you?
And I certainly wouldn't be saying afterwards I once smashed 100 cages.
You found that the footage of dumping pheasants in Leicestershire, that was your footage, wasn't it?
Yeah, but I didn't work by myself. I worked with 2 other groups. I worked with the Hunt Saboteurs Association and West Midlands Hunt Saboteurs, so it was a joint effort. So it wasn't me finding it. I worked with 2 other groups and we worked together. It was me that filmed it though. It was you that filmed it?
Are you worried, is there a sort of aggravated trespass charge hanging over this whole thing? No, that's all legal.
No, I wouldn't worry
okay,
about
so
that.
right, let's go with that one, because the shooting industry condemned that roundly.
Except you.
Yes, we didn't. Absolutely, because we saw that the birds were by and large breasted out, and therefore, the meat had been taken off them. What more do you want us to do? We can't eat the feathers.
But you could eat the thighs, and thighs are sold in all the supermarkets.
We could eat the thighs.
But you do eat the thighs are sold in supermarkets.
Yes, we could eat the thighs, but then if you're talking about the public doesn't care about this kind of thing. This is me being on the back foot. At around about the same time, JD Wetherspoon got the delivery date for 90,000 steaks. They got the wrong day. So they trashed effectively 10,000 head of cattle because they had to throw them all away. People don't care about that.
I think that you're right that the amount of food waste is appalling.
So what we're looking at there was a food waste, but you were billing it as a kind of live bird waste.
I think that one of the issues is that we have the large numbers of pheasants going in. It isn't the problem with the large numbers of pheasants going in is that there's going to be a proportion of predator control that goes with that, and there's also going to be the environmental impact of the birds themselves. People talk about adders being predated upon by pheasants. So anything, I think, where you pour in, and we're at this point now where none of us can actually accurately say how many pheasants are being put into the countryside a year. The other day, I think...
Nature Services says 40 million, something like that?
And yet in 2013, there was a document from the AHVLA that said there was 50 million, and that was 6 years ago. Wow. So, but then since then it's less, and I can't see that it's gone down since 2013. But whether we say 43 million or 60 million, it's many millions. And I think that most people already don't have much of an idea of where those pheasants come from. They're probably not particularly interested. But in their minds, I think most people think that they're wild birds. And so people going out and killing things, I think most people, because they eat meat, are of an opinion that if you kill something and then you eat it, it's like, well, that's kind of what people do, I think. I'm not saying that I advocate that, but I think that people but when you say, yeah, I killed it and then I just threw it in a bin because I was just doing it. I was just doing it because I enjoy shooting.
They weren't, but you were offering that kind of flagpole moment, where as far as most of the public is concerned, those were whole birds being dumped in a pit and buried. And in fact, they were mostly, if not all, we couldn't see most of them, they had been breasted, in which case the meat had been taken off.
The thigh meat had not been taken off. So
we
can do a percentage, and you can tell me what percentage in weight the thigh meat is compared to the breast meat. They could be 50%, 30%. I'm sure your viewers will probably know how much weight percentage it is, and then we can say, well, actually, 20% of all of it, or 30%, or 40%. But nevertheless, there is lots of food being thrown away.
There is. When I shoot pheasants, I have absolutely no problem breasting them out and throwing the rest of the carcass away.
Yeah.
That to me is fine, but it's not fine for you.
But I wouldn't advocate it anyway, because I'm vegan.
Yeah, of course. But we are all committed to stamping out bad practice in it as we see it according to codes of practice, because we are happy to be educated about these things. What I'm worried about is that you're also kind of representing a slightly authoritarian view, where you would like this to be enshrined in law and the police to come down hard on people. I want to be taught not to do these things, not bossed.
Well, the DEFRA spent £500,000 on a report looking at what would be best for.
That sounds marvellous. £500,000.
And barren cages shouldn't be a thing. I mean, if the government are going to spend money on it, and you're talking about law, educate me into it.
Yeah.
Well, game farmers have been told, and there is a game code, and it's all there, and they're completely ignoring it. So when you're saying, well, I'd rather be educated into it, well, there's a code. It's been ignored since 2010. 9 years later, if the Labour Party got in at the end of this year, and I'm pushing hard within political lobbying to end raised cages, or to end any element of your shooting industry that has huge ramifications, you may be sitting there going, well, that's not fair, I'm being legislated against, I want it to be educated. It's like, well, you had quite a few years.
Well, I mean, maybe the sort of the sensible version of animal rights is I mean, I wouldn't do naming and shaming unless it's people on your side, but maybe the sensible way to do it is you take the photograph and you hand it to the game farmer next day and say, you're not supposed to do this. It says so in the code of practice. What are you going to do about it?
Yeah.
Maybe that would be a kind of completely legal, non-violent.
Well, maybe walking into game farms and filming and getting his attention and just waiting and calling the police and calling trading standards.
But
calling you and saying, well, what are we doing?
What are we doing? So that, to me, that sounds like a kind of better version than going in at night and cutting wire or stamping on cages. Anyway, well, I'm not going to say
that sounds like a good tactic.
Okay, I think that might have been consensus there. That's amazing. Well, please let me know what you think of what Jay has to say for himself in the comments below. Now, the Game Fair is coming up in a couple of weekends' time. It's the last weekend of July at Hatfield House in Hertfordshire, and we have negotiated a ticket discount for you. All you have to do is go to bit.ly/Fieldsports19 and enter that Fieldsports19 as a promotional code, and it knocks 26% off the ticket price. So a £34 adult ticket goes down to £25. Can't say we're not trying to help you out there. Another giveaway. A few weeks ago on our 500th episode, we put up a competition prize of £1,900 worth of Remington rifle and other kit. And I'm now going to choose a winner. So I have put all your names into my special winner finder app, and there were hundreds of you, and I'm going to press the choose button there. And the lucky winner is Simon Smith. Simon Smith says he would like a 6.5 Creedmoor. Well, Simon, as long as you live in Britain, which is the great stipulation for this competition, you'll be fine. We'll be in touch with you and we'll get that out to you as soon as we can. Thank you very much for entering. Now, another competition also on my app. We've got the Roshan catapult. Let's do that next. Roshan catapult. It was a laser guided catapult, slightly less expensive than the Remington Ray Trade package. Here you all are. Not quite so many names, obviously more keen on Remingtons. Again, I'm going to press choose, and the lucky winner is Ian Conn, who entered on Facebook with the correct wording, Roshan slingshot. And we got one more to do, which is looking at my Red Kettle Ventile clothing made out of cotton, organic jackets for hunting. 400 of you into that. Here you all are again. Press choose, and the winner is Pete B303, who entered by putting the word Red Kettle into the comment section of the film on YouTube. So Pete B303 will be in touch with you and send out
your competition prize. Next up, it's the Zeiss Play Day. Up in a misty Milton Keynes, Paul Childerley is hosting a range day for Zeiss Optics. And range is the word, because Zeiss has a large and complicated range of products. It's our aim to make it all a lot simpler.
Yeah, so basically we're just finally tuning the last things for the start of the day. We got through 3 events. One's a simulated stalking, which has got 10 targets on. We got a long range event, which is basically a practice area. They got 5 targets going out to 480, the furthest one. And then the competition side of it's 5 targets. And it's basically, again, set different distances. It's great for me to hold the event here today, because obviously Zeiss, I've been with Zeiss for probably coming on to 10 years now, actually working for them with the pro stalking, holding the events and doing the stuff with Fieldsports. But not only that, it's like, you know, the guys are all using Zeiss as well. So it's a great way of sort of like showing people that are running gun shops or just starting off in the industry with their stalking career, you know, the great product. So yeah, it's a win-win really.
Morning and welcome everybody to the Zeiss event and to Children's Sporting.
After a briefing, the team set out for quality range time. On hand is the full range of Zeiss's excellent glass in the Victory and Conquest lines. From the compact-driven bore scopes to the long-range specialists with BDC or ASV turrets, plus of course binoculars and spotting scopes to score those hits or misses.
This is going to be a test, isn't it?
No, feel free to have a go with a variation one, that's what you're for.
The V number is the zoom number, so V4 scopes have 4 times zooms, V6 6 times, and V8, yup, 8 times. The bigger the zoom, the bigger the magnification, so they can be more useful for long-range shooting, but they can also be more useful for short-range driven hunting. And of course, the bigger the zoom, the bigger the price. But with Zeiss, you get what you pays for. When light dies in the evening and you're waiting for the deer to appear, expect to pay an extra €100 per minute for a scope that allows you to shoot through the gloom. V4 scopes, 4 times zooms, are rugged. They come with 24 times magnification plus 90% light transmission. V6 scopes are the all-rounder with up to 30 times magnification and 92% light transmission. Top-of-the-range V8 scopes also boast 92% light transmission and have up to 35 times magnification and an incredible 60mm objective lens in their largest size. All of the Zeiss V-scopes have controllable illuminated dot and the ASV turret, which solves your holdover problems with a few simple clicks. Back on the range day, and a leisurely and extremely tasty lunch is followed by long-range shooting out to 500 metres. It's the perfect opportunity to try pairing the range-finding binoculars with Zeiss's hunting app that precisely works out your elevation drops.
It's 309 metres, so that's 18 clicks.
So we're up to 6, now we go 8.
Yeah, you can go back to 0 again and then just go 18 if you like to make it simple. So it's numbered like that, but it's actually every... Perfect.
Just trying to get into the habit of using the rangefinders, but more importantly connecting it up with the new hunting app.
Yeah.
So a lot of people may be aware of the new rangefinders. What they may not be aware of is the Bluetooth connectivity.
Right.
So what's unique about these RFs with a lot of other ones on the market at the moment is, like I say, it connects directly with the new Zeiss hunting app that you can get to download onto your phone. It's available on Android and on the Apple Store. As soon as you download the app, link it with your rangefinders via Bluetooth. Very simple connection to make. Once you do that, the next step you're going to want to do is input your ballistic calculations into the phone itself, into the app. You input your rifle, the ammunition you're using and the scope that you're using, and you save that as a preset. Once you've got that preset saved, the rangefinders know that ballistic information. So when you next go out to ping a target, not only will it give you your metre or yard reading in distance, but it can also give you a variety of different information such as your click correction, and it'll give it specific to your ballistic setup. There's no guesswork involved.
Seems to be pretty accurate at the minute, boys.
Yeah. Fingers crossed.
So
it's not just
out to 500 here, and
That's 100%.
pretty accurate. Bit of wind here that we're allowing for, but it's we're definitely hitting the gongs as you can see. So that's really good.
perfect, just at the top of the leg.
On to the simulated stalk with Paul, and it is time to up the pressure.
The only thing that scores is the gong in the centre. If it hits the ridge and goes in, that's a 0. There's no half points, it's only full strikes, okay? I am the judge. Okay, right. Okay. He did. Pulled him. Sorted. Shot. A lot of them have been saying, oh, it's actually really good actually, because it's better than just shooting, you know, metal targets down the range, stationary all the time. You're actually moving around, and it's quite funny. Even these guys here now, I can see they want to win. Everyone wants to hit. It's quite funny. Even when I do it, you sort of like, you put pressure on yourself to actually get a good shot, and even there's no pressure at all because it's only a metal target, but you just put this like immense pressure on yourself and try to build it.
It gets your heart pumping,
It does, yeah. And then
you still miss.
You still miss. Quite tricky though, isn't it? It's a new sort of like dimension, that believing that the bullets will go that far, and believing in the kit that will actually, you know, that dial will work. Pulled it. Once the rifle gets on the sticks, you've got 15 seconds to shoot the fox. Fox is about 80 yards on the belt line. Adam, shoot the Chinese. Shot. Shot. 5 seconds. Good shot. No messing with that one, was there? Muntjac through the wood. Easy. Easy peasy. 15 seconds, you've got plenty of time.
A second.
Shot. When you're shooting, obviously, muntjac, they don't stand there for 10 minutes while you get yourself focused in and steady. Munters are always moving. So they basically spot it, identify it, safe, bang. So yeah, that's why it's like simulated quite good, because it gives us like a bit more of a real effect rather than just going on the range plinking at gongs all the time. To be honest with you, if you're doing it for recreation, you know, it's good to have a good bit of kit, nice bit of kit. But someone like myself, those like twilight hours is basically when good glass makes a difference, or poor conditions like it was this morning. Really, really thick, misty, just horrible weather conditions. It just, you know, pays to have sort of like, you know, quality glass. That's when, you know, that's when you actually see the product in its best, really. Shot. Told you, didn't I?
Have you got a favourite type of reticules that you prefer to use?
Me, I like red dot personally.
Red dot.
Yeah, I used them when they very first come out, and it's a game changer for me. Just for like lamping at night. It's before it's like the days of night vision and thermal. Yeah, red dot. It was absolutely like deadly. And now again on poor light. It's a game changer, because you can turn the illuminator reticle on, and you can still be confident in shooting and you know, doing a humane shot. So it's good. Right then, this is the final 2 targets, boys. This is the creme de la creme. This is the time trial. He is getting the pheasant pen a little lighter.
He's a tinker, look.
Whenever you're ready. Oh, both dead, but not scored. Oh, I shot that fox. I shot shot the fox.
Good shot, sir.
Ah, baby! Let's just making sure it can be done. Yeah.
It has been a great day out with Mr. Childerley and a sharp learning experience for anyone who thought Zeiss was just about good quality glass.
And there was one point we were looking at a muntjac through a ride, and it was real difficult to see the muntjac. But the scope, you dial that magnification down, and bump, it was there. It was as bright as if you were out in the open with it.
It has been noticeable, the quality of glass and what the glass can offer over the shorter ranges that we've been shooting this morning, which is 100 metre or 100 yard and 200 yard. But it's great to have the people on hand who've got the knowledge and expertise to describe the finer points of the product that we're using and help us to get the very best from it.
Today has definitely been a test for the scopes. I mean, obviously the light transmission is something that they can boast quite well, and we haven't had too much light today in all honesty, but they've proved themselves definitely in these well, I wouldn't say poor conditions, but not very good conditions to say the least. And I said they have proved the brand and how good it is and why you spend the money on getting good scopes.
Very challenging, yeah, very challenging. It's been very good. Timed stalking, yeah, the wheels fell off and the steering wheel, about everything else, but yeah, no, it's very good.
Thank you to all involved in that. Now from a steel target stay in Bedfordshire to the wider world of hunting and shooting on YouTube. It is Hunting YouTube. This is Hunting YouTube, which aims to show the best hunting and shooting videos that YouTube has to offer. Robin Foxer sends me his latest squirrel shooting video, close up and personal, where the camera is next to the feeder. Gary Moore, who runs Kipina Hunting in Finland, sorry about the pronunciation there, sends me a film about the Finnish Bow Hunting Championship, shooting rubber 3D animals, as that's all that's in season right now. It's half and half English and Finnish language. SRS Power in the UK first tracked this young vixen a couple of weeks ago when he was out with a 2.2 rimfire. He finally catches up with it while carrying a centrefire. Yorkshire row stalking films enthusiastic bucks coming into the call in a film he calls Early Rut. The row rut usually takes place towards the end of July. Mojo Outdoors puts up this film of duck shooting in Louisiana, I guess from last season. They are after migrating blue wings. The rest of this Hunting YouTube is about the worldwide hunt for wild boar. Clark Boys Hunting NZ are taking the dogs after feral boar in New Zealand. It's an everyday story of pig hunting life. Same idea from Outdoor Ed Ventures in the USA, but without the dogs, lots of rifles and bullets instead. And finally, it's the first outing of the year for Le Torrent 26 in France. It's a suitably French film combining action and grande dollops of Gallic philosophy. That's it for this week. I've put all these films into a playlist for you. Click on the eye symbol top right or check this film's description. If you have a YouTube film you would like us to pop into the weekly top 8, email me the link, charlie@fieldsportschannel.tv. Well, that's it for this week. We'll be back next week. If you haven't done so, pop over to our website, fieldsportschannel.tv, or a quick way to get there, just F Channel. And you can click to like us on Facebook and on Instagram. You can follow us on Twitter. You can subscribe to us on YouTube. And best of all, you can pop your email address into our constant contact box, which is at the bottom of the front page. And we'll contact you about the show. Field Sports Britain is at 7 p.m. UK time every Wednesday. And this has been Field Sports Britain. Good hunting, good shooting, good fishing, and goodbye.